So you're going to Disney World, but your trip is going to be really short for whatever reason that is. So how can you fit everything that Disney World has to offer into such a short trip? Well, unfortunately, you can't. Even with a long trip, sometimes it's hard to fit everything that Disney World has to offer into your trip because there's just that much stuff to do. So what can you do with a short trip? How can you make the most of such a short trip? But before we get into it, I did just want to introduce myself in case you're new here. My name is Allison, and here at my channel, I like to make all different types of Disney World content, including vlogs from our own family vacations. So if that's content that you enjoy watching, definitely click that red subscribe button and let's get on with the video. So like I said, it's impossible to fit everything that's offered in Disney World into a short trip. So what you're gonna have to wind up doing is set a bunch of priorities. And this is going to look different for everybody. It might even look different for the people in your family or the people that you're traveling with. So the first thing that you should do is to decide which parks you're going to go to, if you're going to get Park Hopper, and then everybody in your party is going to tell everybody else what their priorities are. So that could be a ride, it could be food, it could be a show, it could be whatever it is. You're gonna write that all down and you're going to see how you can fit everybody's number one priority into your plan. If you can't, you can have backups to these priorities, and you probably should have backups to these priorities because you never know what can happen. There could be a closed ride, there could be super long lines, or whatever it is. So always have a list of priorities and then a few backups that everybody would be happy with doing. So this video is really meant for those that don't get to come to Disney World too often, because if you do go to Disney World all the time, multiple times a year, it doesn't matter how many days you spend on each trip because you know you're gonna come back. So if you didn't get to something that you really wanted to get to, you know that in a couple of months or whenever you're coming back, that you might be able to get to that. This video is really for those people that don't get to go a lot. You know, this might be your first time going and you don't know if or when you'll ever be able to come back. So you do want to try to get in as much of those priorities as you possibly can. And that is really what this video is about. It's about priorities and making sure that everybody at least has a chance to get their priority done. It might take a lot of strategy and, you know, really planning down your day, but you really should try to get everybody's priority done if it's reasonable. Obviously, you know, if someone's priority is building a lightsaber in Galaxy's Edge and that's not in your budget, then that priority is not going to work. But if these priorities are reasonable and able to work, you should try to get everybody's priority in, and that's just going to make the short trip worth it for everybody involved. You also might want to consider splurging a little bit for a deluxe resort to take advantage of, number one, the closeness to the parks to cut down on transportation time, as well as those extended evening hours. So make sure when you know exactly when your trip is going to be, when you get closer, look at the schedule and see what parks are going to have extended evening hours and if that fits into your plan at all. Because that can be a great way to get a little bit more time into your day to get to those must-have rides. The other thing about staying deluxe is if it's not really in your budget, you might want to think twice about it, because you're spending all of this money just to really sleep there because you're only there for such a short amount of time. You don't really have the time to hang out at your resort, check out everything they have to offer. You might not even get a chance to swim in the pool. So it is really just, if it's in your budget and you can make it work financially to stay at a deluxe resort, it will make it nicer being so close to the parks. But don't force yourself to be in a deluxe because of that, because you're really not going to take advantage of all of the amenities that the resort has to offer in the actual resort. So if it's not in your budget, it's okay. It's okay to stay at a value resort or a model resort. You're going to be fine taking the buses. It just might take a little bit longer to get to those parks. Now, if you are getting Park Hopper and you plan on obviously hopping between different parks, sometimes the strategy can really make the difference if you only have 1 or 2 days. Definitely try to start at least one of your days out in Animal Kingdom because they open up the earliest. So you can go and start your day super early, and then you can always hop to a different park, especially one that might have extended evening hours, to really bring out your day to get the most bang for your buck. And also, another reason for starting out at Animal Kingdom is that if you're doing lightning lanes, which you should if you have a short trip, again, to get the most time that you can so that you're not waiting on all these lines while you only have a couple days, is that Animal Kingdom is going to be the cheapest multi-pass option for you no matter what day it is. It's always going to be the cheapest. So you can start out at Animal Kingdom super early with a cheaper lightning lane, and then you can make your lightning lane selections for your next parks that you're going to. Hopping becomes a lot easier when you're leaving out Animal Kingdom because Magic Kingdom, Epcot, and Hollywood Studios are all connected. Magic Kingdom is connected to Epcot via monorail, and then Epcot is connected to Hollywood Studios via Skyliner. So if you are staying at a resort, either on the monorail line or on the Skyliner, that can be an easy way for you to just get to all 3 parks. So even if you only have 1 day at the parks, it wouldn't be a bad idea to get the Hopper and be able to go to all 3 of those parks, especially if one of those is having an extended evening hour, or if you're going during a time of year where there's a party or after hours parties, anything like that. You can easily get a whole day in with those 3 parks. It would be a little difficult to do all 4 parks just because Animal Kingdom is so far away. But between those 3 parks, it really is easy to hop. And then especially if you are staying at either the monorail resort or the Skyliner, you can plan out your day so that you're ending on either side of those parks, whether you're ending your day in Magic Kingdom if you're staying at a monorail resort, or vice versa, staying at a Skyliner resort and ending your day in either Hollywood Studios or Epcot. Now, if someone in your party has a priority of a certain restaurant, especially maybe character dining, it is always recommended to start out with breakfast. It's cheaper, and also if you start your day with this, you don't have to kind of break up your day to go sit down at a restaurant. The only time that I kind of swerve from that is if you're going in the middle of summer and it's super hot and you really need a break in the middle of your day for some air conditioning. This would be a great time to book a lunch or early dinner to break up your day and give yourself a break from the heat. Otherwise, if you do a breakfast, you can do a really early breakfast and almost be one of the first ones in the park. That way you're getting your meal out of the way. It's not taking up too much of your park time, and you don't have to kind of like if you're doing a dinner somewhere, you have to make sure that you're in that area for dinner. So that can, if you only have a couple of days, that can kind of shorten your day a little bit depending on where you are and what you want to do. So it's always my recommendation to start out early with breakfast, especially if it's a character dining that's going to take a long time. Do the super early day, the super early time, that earliest time that you can get, and then you have the whole rest of the day to kind of do whatever it is that you want to do. Now, doing a trip like this is always going to be easier whether you don't have kids at all or if you have older kids, because with younger kids, moving around like that so much can sometimes be difficult, especially if you're hopping. Some kids do totally fine with it, but some kids do need like a midday break or something like that. So that is obviously going to take up some of your time, but you might want to think about maybe practicing doing some stroller naps or things like that, so you don't have to go back to the resort and take that huge chunk of time away from being at the park. So maybe if your child's not used to sleeping in a stroller, you might want to do a little bit of practicing before it's time to come so that they can do that. But it's also nice to find somewhere quiet to kind of sit, and even like my kids will spend so much time in the aquarium at Epcot. Like that can really be such a nice like little break for them to just kind of walk around and be inside in the air conditioning, just to give them a little bit of a break so we don't have to go back to the resort to take a nap or anything like that. My kids have always been good with sleeping in the stroller too, so it's never been a problem. But some kids just don't sleep in the strollers and then they're cranky and then the whole rest of your day can be ruined. You're also going to want to try to get into Disney World as early as possible and leaving as late as possible. So look into those flights and try to book the earliest flight that you can and the latest flight that you can going home, because this really will make it a lot easier for you to get as much stuff done as you can. So that is it for this video. If you have a short trip coming up, let me know in the comments and let me know what your biggest priority is for when you go there and what your plan is. I'm really interested to hear what your plan is if you have a short trip coming up. And don't forget to subscribe and like this video if it helped you out in any way. And until next time.